Alrighty guys, we're back for some Boros tokens, and this is a Phyrexia all will be one standard brew. We're going to go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked, but first things first, for anyone who may not know, I'm Redcat and I play aggro decks and any decks with a red in them as well, so I hope that sounds fun to you. Also, we do got that Discord link down in the description if you're interested in joining that up. Okay, what do we got packed into the build? We got all four Mite Overseers, and you actually get 4 of these from the Mastery Pass. I believe it was level 25 or so that's pretty neat. It's a 4 mana, 4/2, first strike. As long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control get +1/+0 and have first strike. Okay, and then for 3 and a white Phyrexian mana, create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Mite artifact creature token with, of course, Toxic 1, and it can't block. So overall, a pretty neat card. I'm not sure how janky it's actually going to be, but hopefully it helps us close out some games. So what else do we got packed in here then? A bunch of ways to generate tokens. We got all 4 Crawling Chorus. Happens to be a great creature since there's so much removal in general in standard right now anyways. Helps us keep creatures on the board because when it dies you get that Phyrexian Mite, which is really nice. And then if you have something like Mondrak on the board, you get a couple of those Phyrexian Mites instead. Yep, we got a couple Mondraks here in our 4-drop spots as well. Got 3 Gleeful Demolitions. Now, 1 mana sorcery, destroy target artifact is not half bad when there is just a ton of artifacts floating about anyways. I'm looking at you, Bank Buster. People have not let up playing that card one bit, so if you controlled that artifact though, you create 3 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens. So like, Phyrexian Mites are artifacts, so that could be a way to get a lot more tokens on the board. Again, if you have Mondrak on the board, that's 6 Goblin tokens instead of just the 3, so got a couple Resolute Reinforcements, great way to go wide. 4 Skrelv's Hives generates those artifacts for that Gleeful Demolition again, but also it's just like good in general in a go wide build like this, so have a single Soul Partition. I've had a lot of success using Soul Partition as removal recently, so just squeezing one in here as some, I don't want to call it emergency removal, but yeah, just to have more removal in here, I guess. Got all 4 Riveteers Requisitioners here, and this is a 2 mana 3/1 and it has a blitz for 2 and a red. When Riveteers Requisitioner dies, create a treasure token, and we can use that treasure token for, of course, our Gleeful Demolition, or just to ramp, because we do have a lot of 4-drops and a couple 5-drops as well. We do have all 24 land packed in here too, so I don't think we're going to have any issues with mana. We might have some issues with mana fixing though, because we have some double whites and some double reds as well. So the treasure could really come in handy. We have 3 Charge the Mites. This is another piece of removal technically, so it's a 3 mana instant speed. We get to choose one of these. Charge of Mites deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. Nice, not bad. Or create 2 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Mite artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1 and it can't block. Yeah, this is a good one. I like it. We got 4 wedding announcements, another way to go wide, great way to draw. I've actually been drawing a lot more recently on wedding announcement instead of opting for the tokens. It's been working out nicely, and then of course when it flips to wedding festivity, a great way to buff that wide board state. Another way to buff that wide board state, we have a single In the Trenches and then some late game removal with that bottom ability, 5 and a white, you get to exile target non-land permanent you don't control until In the Trenches leaves the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery and only once. Okay, we have a couple of Jaxis the Troublemakers, which we actually don't want to look at as a 4-drop in here. We're probably going to be blitzing this out for 2 more often than not, and then using that ability for 1 red, which is why I said we have a couple double red things in here, right? Because the blitz takes a red and then the ability takes a red, so we're looking at this as a 3 mana card. So you tap it, you discard a card, create a token. That's a copy of another target creature you control. It gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card. It's essentially giving that token blitz, right? Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step and activate only as a sorcery. So you create a token, and that works with the Mite Overseer, so that token will get the +1/+0 and the first strike because it's just creature tokens you control, right? Also works with the Mondrak. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens is created instead. So if you're doing something like copying the Riveteers Requisitioner, and you're getting 2 of them because you have Mondrak on the board, then whenever those die, you get a couple treasure tokens, which of course we know we can use for the Gleeful Demolition. You get a bunch of goblins. And on the top end of the build, Rabble Rousing. We got 2 of them in here. It's a 5 mana enchantment with Hideaway 5, so when it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 5 cards of your library, you exile one of them face down, you put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and for this card, whenever you attack with 1 or more creatures, create that many 1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens. Then, if you control 10 or more creatures, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So what we want to hit with the Rabble Rousing is, of course, the Mite Overseer. If you're already swinging in with a bunch of creature tokens and you get over that 10 for the Rabble Rousing, then you just slam the Mite Overseer on the board and buff all those tokens that you just swung in with and give them first strike too. So it seems pretty good, honestly. Other great cards to hit with the Rabble Rousing is, of course, our single In the Trenches to buff that wide board state immediately. Anything with an ETB like Resolute Reinforcements, which, by the way, is a great target for the Jaxis too, because whenever you create that token off the Jaxis, you get that ETB again. Oh, Crawling Chorus is also a great target for the Jaxis. I kind of forgot to go over some of that synergy, right? Because, of course, when this dies, you get that Phyrexian Mite, and if you ever have like the Mondrak on the board too, and you copy the Crawling Chorus, you get 2 of them that die, which each create a Mite, which of course gets doubled because of the Mondrak. So a lot of little synergies packed in here, guys, and I think it's going to be pretty decent overall, honestly. I'm mostly concerned with the mana fixing, which I don't think it'll be too bad, but that's why I did cram a Wind-Scarred Crag in here as well. I do have a couple Mirrex in the mana base too, which you get to add 1 mana of any color, and you get to activate only if Mirrex entered the battlefield this turn, which actually could come in handy. If you're playing this on turn 3, maybe you could use that double red right away off the Mirrex. Honestly, it could, and then it can generate some Phyrexian Mites for us as well. Of course, we're rocking all 4 Sundown Pass, all 4 Battlefield Forge, Crucible of Defiance, and Seed of the Empire. And Crucible is going to be relatively decent in here because we get to generate some creature tokens with spirits off the Crucible, huh? Honorable mentions, guys. I thought a lot about Skrelv, not this time round. Adeline almost made the cut, but doesn't pair well with Jaxis necessarily, and we have a lot of other 3-mana cards packed in here too. Squee, I thought about for a little bit. It's the same concept as Adeline. The legendary creatures do not pair that well with the Jaxis. Even though we only have 2 Jaxis, that they are in the honorable mentions for a reason, right? We do want to consider them at least. Mishra's Onslaught, I actually cut from the list at the very last second, and I hope it wasn't a mistake because, yeah, 4 mana instant speed, you either can create a couple 1/1 artifact creature soldiers, or you can just have creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn, which of course, if you're swinging with a wide board state and the opponent's like, those are just a bunch of 1/1s, I can take this real quick. You just slam the Mishra's Onslaught because it's instant speed after they're not blocking anything, right? And then you just clean up the game real quick. So it was a tough cut, but yeah, we'll see, we'll see. Roadside Reliquary could be pretty cool in here too. Bunch of ways to have enchantments and artifacts on the board at the same time. But again, I'm a little bit concerned about the mana fixing in here, so no Reliquary this time. Alrighty guys, enough rambling about such an easy build. At least I hope it's going to be an easy one, right? Let's go ahead, take it into some ranked and see how we do. Alright, we'll see if we can get right into that first game here. Yeah, I'm expecting a little bit from this, honestly. I'm expecting it to be pretty good because the last time I played a go wide strategy, I believe it was mono white, and it was pretty good, guys. It did great against the standard that I was up against then. This is kind of a bad hand, isn't it? We'll keep it. We have a turn 1. I don't like the double Gleeful Demolition in our opening hand here. Or triple Gleeful Demolition, sure, why not? That's not the greatest, but it's a little funny. So it's matches like these that make us wonder then, okay, maybe we should cut down to 2 Gleeful Demolition since we don't necessarily want to see it this much. Crawling Chorus can't swing into the Harvester unless we want it to die. We get the Mite, we could use that for the Gleeful Demolition. Soul Partition's particularly bad against Harvester, and we have nothing to do on our turn 2. Yeah. Now we could have mulliganed too. That is 100% a possibility. Yeah, Soul Partition isn't terrific against Harvester. We'd much rather hit something a little chunkier. We'll block. Now, Gleeful Demolition is a sorcery, so unfortunately we still just can't... We can't do it this turn. I'm thinking if we see a mana, I guess it's still going to be a Gleeful Demolition next turn. Because we don't want to hit Harvester with Soul Partition. Alright, it's a little janky, but at least this gives us some blockers. And Wedding Announcement was a good draw. Now we just need to see an extra mana here. We could always Gleeful Demolition a blood token too. We could, but I'd rather hit a Bank Buster, which I believe this style of build is the style that would run a Bank Buster. So holding 2 Demolitions back, I mean, we're not taking a damage from the Forge, I guess. How do I get myself into these awkward situations, guys? I need to mulligan more. Oh my goodness. Although, drawing the 3rd Gleeful Demolition, that's not going to happen all the time. By any means. That's a little unlucky. Alright, we'll take 3 and we'll double block one of the Harvesters. And if they have, like, spot removal to save the Harvester, at least the cut down's hitting one of these instead of one of our later creatures, you know? Oh, that totally works. Trespasser. Oh, man. Yeah, Soul Partition not doing a lot against this build right now. Yes, we saw the mana off the top. That is beautiful stuff, guys. Get the Wedding Announcement down. Yeah, Trespasser's a pain, but technically we're going to have great blockers against it, hopefully, right? We should probably save the Goblin to chump. Or potentially double block the Harvester again, right? Yeah, I don't know. We could pull this around. We definitely could. The way Mite Overseer's designed, I almost thought it was an artifact creature in and of itself, too. I don't know. There's just something about, like, the color scheme. Alright. Double block Harvester. Take 3 from Trespasser. Now, again, same concept. If they, like, use a cut down to save the Harvester, then at least it's not hitting something else later on. And we're still a couple... Oh, Wedding Announcements out of here. Oh, crap. Down to 7. And... that's... I mean, it's the land, but it's the only tapped land right now that we could have drawn. It's not bad. We need it, but it would have been really nice to play the Overseer. At this point, using Soul Partition on the Trespasser, discarding one of the Gleeful Demolitions would be completely fine. We could also... No, yeah, I was going to say we could, like, ditch the blood token. That's not worth it at all. Alright, Soul Partition is open. Oh, except... No, yeah, no, that's fine. Soul Partition... still takes care of Glutton. It's not like the ward here gets any worse. And have enough to recast it this turn too. Yeah, we want to do it before they swing, so let's do this. If they recast it for all 5, at least it's not Invoke Despair number 2 this turn, you know what I mean? And we knew that Soul Partition wasn't doing a lot against this build anyways, so just saving us for 1 turn is completely fine. They recast it, and then we have the Mite Overseer, which blocks really well. Although Go for the Throat does pick it up easily. Tough stuff, guys. Tough stuff. Yeah, we didn't want them swinging in, taking 2, and then recasting it on the same turn, and then taking another 2 cards from the grave as well. Oh, Requisitioner. Yeah, that could have been. Wow, there was a lot of different ways to draw this game, huh? Well, let's see it, opponent. Some simple removal. I still think the Overseer is the play over the Requisitioner. It's because it's the same concept. They just remove Requisitioner and then swing in anyways. They dropped the GGs. Good game, opponent. Man, we did not draw well this time, but that's okay. We have to have some kind of first match, and this happened to be today's first match. Let's see if we could draw a little bit better in the second game, guys, and maybe mulligan if we don't particularly like the next hand as well. I'm still sticking to it though. I have high hopes for this build because the last time I played a go wide strategy, it did really well. So I think we can totally do it. And worst comes to worst, and the final thoughts, we'll talk about going down to 2 Gleeful Demolitions, because there's not going to be too many moments necessarily where you're going to want to hit your own artifacts. However, opponents are running a lot of artifacts that you'd still like to hit anyways, right? Like that last deck, totally a deck that runs Bankbuster. And of course Shieldrids too, so that way they can get benefits off of drawing on Bankbuster. Not a lot of early stuff, but I do like seeing the 4 mana here, and Mirrex being one of them as a little bit of a utility land is awesome. No turn 1 means the Wind-Scarred Crag gets down easily. And then the turn 2, the turn 3, Rabble Rousing, a bunch of stuff to draw into. Oh, Crawling Chorus. Alright, well that's better than getting the land down. So we'll do that. And then Mirrex will be red for Requisitioner. I love how the Mirrex ends up helping us mana fix. It's actually a pretty great land, isn't it? I gotta start squeezing it into more builds. I should attack first. Okie dokies. Got a poison through. Not a poison deck by any means, but, you know, if the opponent ends up having a lot of life gain, then it could do a thing. Because it's not like the mites don't know how to duplicate themselves in time. Graveyard Trespasser! Get out of here! Everyone's favorite creature. Charge of the Mites doesn't necessarily hit it. It's like Trespasser. Okay. Hear me out. Do we just do the damage and let them swing with the Trespasser? Charge of Mites at instant speed. These can't block, by the way. See what they do here. I think they take the 3. And then we'll keep Charge of Mites open. And then they'll swing with Trespasser, and then we play the Charge of Mites. Get some more toxic damage through next turn, potentially. Crap, I keep forgetting about nighttime, too. Glutton's scary. Trespasser into Glutton is pretty scary, but at least there's not too much to pick up from the grave. Underdog, yep. Misery Shadow, oh man. While all of those block the Mites very well, we could always use the Charge of Mites and kill the Misery Shadow while we can. Guess they didn't want the cut down in their grave. Kill Misery Shadow or go wide? I mean, we gotta go wide, right? Let's do this. Get a couple more toxic creatures down. Yeah, the Wind-Scarred Crag, the only tapped land at this point in the game, and it's not looking terrific in these first couple matches. I was concerned about the mana fixing. Look, now we have the double red on the board, though, for if we top deck Jaxis. We don't want it to go into nighttime again. We definitely get the Crawling Chorus down here. At least this can chump. Requisitioner can block the Trespasser. I think we actually go the Gleeful Demolition route, guys. I don't think Mono Black... Well, they might have a Path of Exile. Or what is it? What's that card name? All right, we'll do this. We'll do this. Go a little bit more wide. Path of... Is it Oh, Path of Peril. That's what it's called. That's pretty funny. All right, we're just going to keep everything back. They have great blockers for the mites, unfortunately. But hey, if we see the Overseer, huh? Everything, all these tokens getting a little bit of a boost in first strike. That sounds really good. Requisitioner blocks Trespasser really well. Mondrak can come down next turn. If we top deck a land, Rabble Rousing Full Swing is nasty. And of course now at this point, any land that we get will be fine. Okay, well, we definitely have to block Trespasser here. They keep the Mishra's Foundries open. We will chump the Shadow, take 3. Like, we could double block the Underdog, but if we lose too much, then the Rabble Rousing is a lot less effective if we do see the land, which is kind of a good chance to see a land here. Oh, we're getting a treasure off the Requisitioner too, so yeah, let's keep 5 creatures back. We're gonna get a 6 creature for Chorus. Oh, Exile! Oh no! Well, we still have 5 creatures, but now we don't have... Oh, the Misery Shadow exiles, guys. Oh, why do I always do that? It wasn't a land anyways, but yeah. I was gonna say, the Rabble Rousing with the treasure token. At this point, Mondrak blocks well, and they haven't had any removal yet, so... It's just gonna be Mondrak, and we don't really want to... Man. Ah, the Exile and Misery Shadow was brutal. Oh, jeez. You guys were probably yelling at me. Good full swing with these. Get a poison through. They block 1 for sure. I think we just hold him back because... Just mainly because of the Rabble Rousing, right? We have to anticipate removal for the Mondrak. Oh, man. Yeah, yeah. I should have kept the Crawling Chorus until we had an answer for the Misery Shadow. Flesh Gorger's not removal. Mondrak's still doing a lot here to block. A full swing. I would love to be able to hit this Misery Shadow, but they can buff it and take out the Mondrak too. So we're just going to block Trespasser and chump the Shadow. Take 3. Man. I don't know. I don't know what the best course of action here is. At least Trespasser number 2's out of here. Wedding Announcement's pretty good. Wedding Announcement, and then we still have 1 mana if we want to give Indestructible to Mondrak and take a bunch of... Don't want to swing. Flesh Gorger blocks really well. Rough couple first games, guys, but this is anyone's match. They have yet to drop removal on us. We have a bunch of ways to block. We have to be careful with their double Mishra's Foundry over here, too. Like, Wedding Announcement number 2 is pretty insane. We'll probably ditch the ones that can't block to the Mondrak's ability, too, to give it that Indestructible. But if we do that now, I mean, we've definitely seen... Okay. Yeah, we've definitely seen these decks double down on removal, so... Gotta hit you. Oh, we're finally going to take care of Underdog here. Yeah, we can't rely on that Rabble Rousing. There's no guarantees. How does that look, guys? We have to be super careful with the Misery Shadow, too. Being able to buff a ridiculous amount. 2 cards in hand. We know how much removal is packed into mono black, and so at any point... Okay. No damage getting through. A lot of exiles. They're looking at the Mondrak. Bolt Conscript, okay. I wonder what that last card is, because powering up Mishra's Foundry could have been good for them that turn. and then full swinging like that. I guess they don't want to necessarily lose the land. Yeah, now we know they can't double down with removal because they only have one card in hand here, so. Alright, if it is spot removal and we go Rabble Rousing, we're out of mana to protect the Mondrak. However, is it really fun and we should do it anyways? Yes, let's do this. Come on, Rabble Rousing. Alright, let's see what we hit. It's gotta be removal for that Mondrak, man. Mite Overseer, let's go! Okay. Removal for the Mondrak. Or are they just gonna power up Foundry and block? I guess we can keep Mondrak back again. Because we're getting 6 here, and then the Mite goes onto the board. That is awesome, dude. Oh, man. Oh, man, that is cool. Yeah, we don't want to lose the Mondrak to something like a Foundry. And now that we have 2 deadly creatures on the board that they really want to find removal for, so... Battlefield Forge, okay. I mean, the mana's not going to be great from now until the end of this match, so getting it off of the top of our deck is completely fine off the announcement, because now we have a better chance of seeing something else, I guess. Blitzing back the underdog. We have so many tokens, guys. They have a swamp, 2 cards in hand. If they swing, now we can successfully block the Misery Shadow here. Block. Double block. I guess we don't have to double block. It sacrifices itself anyways. How's that look? Yeah, GG opponent. We stuck it out, guys. Really awkward draws in these first 2 games, but I think that's just like... I'm not blaming the deck on the awkward draws just yet. You know, only 2 games in. Very, very small sample size. So let's see. If all the games today are super awkward draws, then it might be how the deck is set up. Other than that, I think it comes down to luck sometimes, so... We will see. That was sweet, guys. We got to see the Rabble Rousing into the Mite Overseer, which is literally what the deck was supposed to be doing. That's one of the main synergies here, so I'm very happy. I'm very pleased. That would have been a sweet first game, too, but second game, I'll take it. All right, opponent, what you bringing to the table, buddy? This is a good hand. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Mirrex, not bad. Get that chorus down. Skrelv's Hive next turn. Sundown Pass. Okay, get the land out of here now, I suppose. Start with a swing. Yeah, it's not the greatest card to hit with a cut down, that's for sure. Skrelv's Hives hits the board. Skrelv's Hive. It's not Skrelv's Hives. A little funny though. More mono black, really? Come on, man. Oh, man. Well, you could still swing. I think the best block for them would be here. We have Charge of the Mites, which is pretty good. I think if we don't play anything, it goes to nighttime. We have to remember that. So it would be better. It'd be better to block, and it'd be better to play this on our turn. And here's why we go Charge of Mites right now. So 1, it doesn't switch to nighttime. That's great. We don't want to deal with Glutton. But 2, getting all the tokens down now, like we have a great chump block with Chorus, means the Mite Overseer is much better. They switch it to nighttime on their turn. Probably some removal open here then. Okay, Sundown Pass comes down, and the Mite Overseer... I mean, Go for the Throat hits it. Of course, Infernal Grasp, but we're seeing a lot more Go for the Throat. Yeah, what the heck, we'll full swing now. It's a lot of extra toxic, so... Go for the Throat. It's still a lot of extra toxic. Putting them at 4, we get another Mite. We do have the Blitz on the Requisitioner. A lot of land right now. Skrelv's Hive is going to be out of here, unfortunately, which means no lifelink for us. Yeah, we'll go ahead. They draw 1, we're down to 16, and they get a good swing here. Nope. We do have enough Toxic on the board to scare them a little bit more land. At least it's utility land, right? At this point, Mirrex get more of the poison downs pretty good, huh? Over something like Requisitioner. Alright. Swing up to 7 poison. Yeah, they don't know what's in hand, but... 7 poison. Yeah, I think it's Mirrex. Okay, it says nothing about doing it only as a sorcery, so we can technically keep everything open here too. And we need 3 and a tap, so we can't play Requisitioner. And technically this lets us keep Crucible open too, but I don't think it's Crucible. I think it's Mirrex. Okay. Button number 2 comes down. What a weird couple of first games here, guys. They block 2, they're going to be at 9 poison. Are we going to be able to get that last bit of poison through? Because at some point they're going to have more removal, more cut downs, anything like that. Skrelv's Hive, that'll help. That'll definitely help. We play this before combat because of lifelink. And we'll still have 3 open for the Mirrex. So up to 9 poison potentially, right? Cut downs exist. Okay, cut down number 1. We need blockers. The Crucible is going to be really good for that. Take 1 poison. To 8 poison. Yeah, it's still going to be Mirrex. And then generate with Hive and hope they don't get more blockers. At this point, though, we're going to hold back. And do Mirrex on their turn. Just in case we decide we want chump blockers with Crucible. But at any point, if they... Ooh. They're looking for more blockers, guys. Wow. The 3rd Trespasser hits this board, guys. I mean, yeah. Mono Black plays a lot of creatures anyways. There was pretty much anything they could have hit, but... They literally can't attack. They can attack with 1. Oh, that's right, because this one doesn't actually get... Alright, we'll take the 4, we'll activate the Mirrex, and I just doing it now, that way we can stop clicking the button. Now to 12. Skrelv's Hive. Here's what we're gonna do for the turn, guys. We are going to, well, let's switch it back to daytime. Requisitioner blocks the 3/3s much better. And T3, we're trying to get that last bit of poison through, though. And we could potentially die next turn if they full swing. Well, not potentially, we just do die. So we want to play the Requisitioner as a blocker, switch it back to daytime so it's less damage overall. We have to hold back. It is now daytime. Yeah, the double Skrelv's Hive. So switching it to daytime was beautiful here because Trespassers just don't end the game now. We're 1 mana short from Crucible of Defiance, which definitely sucks, though. Come on, we're gonna get there. Come on, man, this is a great blocker. Opponent's out of cards. We still have to keep Crucible open as an emergency, and we technically can't successfully swing here. So we hold. And it's probably going to be Crucible to block, depending on what they see. Bankbuster, nice. They get to draw off this, too. Weird couple of games, man, but the opponents are playing meta stuff, so at least we're doing a thing against them, kinda. They dropped the good game. Good game, opponent. Yeah, because if they didn't swing, we were going to activate Mirrex. If they did swing... we would see how much of the damage we could take. Really, they needed removal for Crawling Chorus and then full swing. And that's where the Crucible would have come in, because we could have chumped 2 of these and not perished that turn. Got the rest of the poison through then, but yeah, nice. Very nice, huh? The double Skrelv's Hive was a terrific draw. Like, we just kept seeing the Hives that game, so ended up being good. Opponents kept seeing the Trespassers too, so I'm satisfied. I like it so far. Hopefully we can go up against something a little different, you know, maybe not Graveyard Trespasser this game. Some mono red, I wouldn't mind seeing mono red go up against a different part of the meta. Mono white mid-range, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I haven't seen mono blue in a long while either. I think this deck would be terrific against mono blue. Hey, Jaxis in hand. Okay, we're going to keep it. I think it's a fine hand. Jaxis hits the reinforcements really well. We'll just keep this open. Tenacious. Life of Toshiro, nice. Oh, you do not want to play reinforcements on top of a Life of Toshiro. Getting ahead of myself there. Yeah, because they could go -1 then. Jax's copy's fine. Keeping Charge of Mites open is probably a little better here, so we can try to draw a land for Mondrak. Charge of Mites is going to be the play for me this turn. So they probably go -1. Gonna take out the token. Okay. Okay, they don't know what we're playing, so I guess I can see it. Oh, they're gonna hit both, that's why. Let's see if we can tempt them to take out a toxic creature instead. And they could still have a cut down in hand too. Props to the opponent for playing Life of Toshiro, one of my favorite cards from Neon Dynasty. Literally one of my favorite cards. Okay. So this one's going to probably take care of the other toxic. Charge of Mites is going to be the play again. Funny enough. It's a pretty great card, man. I like it. I liked it the last time we played with it too. Okay. We want to keep reinforcements on board because it's just such a great target for Jaxis to hit, but it's probably going to die anyways. Trespasser. Man. Today's games have been rough with these ones. The mono black has been extreme. I thought maybe it would be something a little different with Life of Toshiro, which it technically is. It's a different version of mono black. Okay, Seat of the Empire. Mondrak can hit, but it probably just dies immediately. So it might be... No, it's going to be Mondrak. If they want to kill it, they can kill it. Because next turn, I really want to get... We could just full cast Jaxis too. But that gets picked up by cut down. Alright, Mondrak on the board. No swings, we're in trouble. Memory of Toshiro, man, looking good. What's great about these is if they didn't hit their 5th land, they would still have the Invoke Despair open because they could use the Memory of Toshiro ability. Mondrak is out of here. Yeah, that was the risk, right? Because we could have waited for the 5th mana to have it gain protection, but... Alright, we sacrifice one of the mites. We are in some serious trouble as Mono Black gets some revenge this game. Jaxis still copies reinforcements really well. Take 3 this time. Crucible's great. I really don't want to ditch the Rabble Rousing because that's just really good against. Block really well. I guess we ditch Skrelv's Hive, have 5 mana for the Rousing next turn. How do we feel about that? Jaxis. Usability. Reinforcements. Skrelv's Hive. This helps us filter a little bit too. We lose all of it. If I swing, If I don't swing at Liliana, we lose our hand, or the Crucible, and then we lose the chance for. Oh no, we're drawing. Like that, right? We're drawing too. I almost forgot about that. Almost. Okay, Battlefield Forge. At least we get to play that instead of Crucible. And then we'll have 2 open. We could draw like a Soul Partition off the Jaxis, which is pretty good. Requisitioner. Okay, guys. We might be able to pull something off here. We might be able to. Oh, buddy. Okay. Rabble Rousing not doing a whole lot next turn as we are losing a lot of our creatures. Requisitioner blocks Trespasser really well. It might be the play, honestly. Going wide with Crucible of Defiance might be a decent one, too. Yeah, we're just going to take the 3. I think we're in trouble regardless. I think the best bet would be to do something awesome. What is it? Go wide with Crucible or play Requisitioner to block Trespasser? Probably a chance at blocking, right? We do go wide, though. The Rousing might be enough. Okay, alright. I'm going to keep Crucible. Crawling Chorus. Actually, might convince me. Alright. If we don't play everything, then this Liliana is going to put us into a lockdown state. Alright, let's see what we hit on the Rabble Rousing. I tapped my white source. Oh no. Crucible is not a white source for Crawling Chorus. Oh, that sucks. Also, we did not hit a lot with the Rabble Rousing here. Oh no, I had to play Crucible Defiance first, guys. I made a huge mistake here. Yeah, they just double block. We get 2 more 1/1s. We're dead. We're dead. I can't believe I did that, guys. Yeah, the plan was to play Crucible. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Alright, we're gonna take 4 and see if they just kill us with an Invoke Despair. Which actually, we have an enchantment over here. Wow, and a Corrupt. Wow. Oh, that makes sense for the Memory of Toshiro now. They want to ramp into the Corrupt. That was brutal, man. That was a really tough one. Mono Black just kind of having everything they needed and us not having a whole lot in comparison there. And then, of course, if I would have been able to play the Crawling Chorus, it wouldn't have mattered too much because the Corrupt was still going to do a ton of damage. And I really like that opponent. Memory of Toshiro and Corrupt. I like it. So they didn't even need the 6 Swamp there to do the last little bit of damage. Of course, it deals damage equal to the number of swamps, but guys, we're 43 minutes in. I can't believe this, but we really haven't seen any variety from the opponents. We're going to try to squeeze a really fast one in. If it leans towards the opponent, we're just going to give it to him. If it starts getting to the longer side of a match, right? I want to see variety. I think we might be able to find some aggro here, potentially. I think the mono black builds have finally caught back up to platinum, and that's what we're seeing today, unfortunately. Okay, it's a good lineup. We didn't really see Gleeful Demolition do anything meaningful today, so we really got to talk about going down to 2 of them. Not having a lot of targets, too, was pretty significant. I think they just take the 1. Oh. Okay. And then we'll surprise them with the reinforcements to take out their toxic, I would say. Because chances are they're rocking a toxic build, right? They got the Seed Core over here, Brushland, yeah, Duelist. Okay. So we should probably surprise with reinforcements and block, right? And we'll block with the token even though we have the Mite Overseer in hand, since there's a chance of drawing Jaxis. Oh, we saw the Jaxis, but no double red though, so Also, Wind-Scarred once again slowing us down pretty significantly, which is a little bit funny. I don't know how many games we played today, but 3 out of those games, the Wind-Scarred Crag, the only tap land in the deck, has really slowed us down. So hopefully, I mean, we might be able... see, like, Mirrex would be pretty bad in this scenario. I was thinking, like, 3rd Mirrex, but then we still have the problem with the double red and Jaxis. To blitz it, of course. Yeah, we're taking a couple poison here, as I don't want to lose the reinforcements, and there's a ton of stuff we could draw. Crucible, okay. Well, the first strike on Overseer's pretty significant, honestly. Could go Gleeful Demolition to get some go wide blockers, and then Wedding Announcement. The trample on the Contaminator is particularly bad, though. Alright, I talked myself into it. This is pretty good, guys. We go wide with this, and we get Wedding Announcement down, and then Mite Overseer next turn's pretty good, and we'll probably chump the Duelist with Reinforcements. Although... Hey, thank you, opponent. Thank you. They gave us the nice. Yeah, let's see what they do first, before I make any other plans. Yeah, because we have a lot of goodies. A Johnny Sleeper Agent. That's not one you see every day. I guess... yeah, some counters. And Vigilance, that could be pretty good. Putting a bunch of counters onto Contaminator. Yeah, the Proliferate's pretty good. Yeah, they had a great lineup here, man. Turn 1 Crawling Forest, turn 2 Duelist, turn 3 Contaminator, turn 4 Johnny. That's actually insane. That is insane to think about. Yeah, we'll jump here, and we'll take the 6, and they proliferate, because there's not much we can do outside of that. And the Vigilance stops a little bit next turn, like, protects the Ajani. Which is actually really something to consider with the Ajani, huh? The way it does end up protecting it. Jaxis, ditch one of the Overseers. Copy Reinforcements. See, going wide doesn't do much against the trample, but filtering through this hand might do something. I don't know, man. I feel like, especially the last couple games, I probably could have played this out a little bit better overall. I think filtering's fine here. And they probably end up protecting this so we get the draw before it dies, right? At the end of turn. It's not like they have lifelink or anything, so... yeah, so they block. We draw, and hopefully we draw something meaningful, even though... yeah, like playing a 1-drop. Ooh, In the Trenches is really good. Get a 1-1. Jaxis draws. Filtering through the deck nicely. Another Plains. In the Trenches is great, man. We're definitely wide enough. We just have to consider... how do we not die? Because the Bloated Contaminator is a big issue right now. That's like one where that one Soul Partition that I squeezed into the build, we really want to see that. Did they miss with the Ajani? I think they missed. Creature or Planeswalker. Otherwise you may put it to the bottom. It was a land. Jawbone Duelist number 2. Okay, they have the -3 on a Johnny ready for next turn, which is like a huge nail in the coffin with that Contaminator. They still swing. We take 7 from Contaminator. We chump the Jawbone Duelist. Skrelv can't block. Well... I don't like taking 7 from Contaminator, but there's not a lot else we can do. We can't take the Duelist damage. We want as many creatures on this board state as possible for when we start buffing, because Wedding Announcement's about to flip next turn. So we're going up to 6 poison. So it might be in the trenches, because Mite Overseer only buffs on our turn. It has to be your turn for those first strike buffs and everything. Alright, Charge of Mites is really good, but it just doesn't hit that Contaminator. It does hit Duelist number 1. But Johnny's about to -3 next turn. Oh man, we're in some serious trouble, guys. Only being able to play one thing this turn is gonna be pretty bad. But setting this up, I think in the trenches makes the most sense, because we could top deck a land next turn and use that in the trenches ability to pick up that Contaminator. Wedding Announcement flips this turn, we're gonna get another 1/1, and everything on our board state is gonna be humongous. This might actually be protection for one of their creatures too. Oh, Skrelv wins next turn, doesn't it? Yeah, Skrelv. No. They can only choose one color. We have 2 different colors on the board. Okay. Not much we could do about the Ajani, but I guess they could still just pump all the Ajani counters into the Bloated Contaminator and then call white? Yeah, and then we can only double block with the goblins. So it's -3 Ajani, plug it all into Contaminator. Probably still full swing, right? Then Skrelv onto Contaminator, call white. And that's, I think that'll probably do it. Going into the Duelist is fine here. We're still gonna have to chump the Duelist then. They don't use the Skrelv ability. Okay. They don't use the Skrelv ability, which means we could quadruple block Contaminator. That's really bad, isn't it? Alright, we're gonna chump the Duelist. The first strike and everything is terrible, and we're more concerned with the Contaminator for sure. I guess we kind of got to, right? We keep reinforcements back. We might actually see another Jaxis. The thought process there was keep a red on the ground so that way Skrelv doesn't finish us next turn. But if we do see another Jaxis off the top, then we want to be able to handle that. And then if we see a land in the trenches, can pick up the big old chunky Duelist. And their Ajani has been terrific this game, man. Kind of a card I overlooked for Toxic, but I get it now. I totally see it. I love the counters with the Contaminator and everything. Oh, Tyvar Stand. I forgot that card could be a Tyvar Stand. Oh, that is brutal. Oh, my soul. Oh, why did I do that? Oh no, guys. Oh no. Hold it on for dear life and we are out of this game. Yeah, we're out of this game, guys. GG opponent. Let's use the in the trenches. Brutal matches today, man. Tough draws too. I feel like there's not going to be too much for me to say about this deck. Give it protection with the Skrelv and drop the good game. I thought maybe they'd let me pick it up with the in the trenches since they were winning anyways, but I'm gonna let them play it out in case they have any quests that they want to get done. Maybe they got, you know, a 1-drop creature to play. They could also use the Seed Core to buff the Duelist. That's pretty fun. And then go, yeah, that's fun. That's the first time I've ever seen the Seed Core ability being used. We'll just block Contaminator. It doesn't matter. We're dead regardless. Oh, man. Yeah, all right. Let's talk about this deck. Number one, I want to bring this up now, actually, is the double red on Jaxis is just as hard as I thought it would be. I knew it was going to be a little tough to pull off the double red for the Jaxis sometimes, but yeah, there are definitely moments where you're just like, oh man, I need to see that red source. And the Wind-Scarred Crag, funny enough, it's only one, man. It's only one, but it slowed us down in 3 different games. And if you are getting slowed down, I guess at this point in the meta, GG. You know what I mean? Like, I would drop this for sure. It's not necessary, because if you want the deck to be more competitive, I would drop the Jaxis too. I love Jaxis, man. I love Jaxis so much, but not this one. I don't think, at least. I think if we pushed this even further into just, well, then again, you're getting rid of a huge part of the soul of the deck if you do drop Jaxis, and here's why. At that point, you're just leaning towards my go wide mono white that I made not too long ago that did really good, and kind of like splashing red into a similar style deck for the Jaxis and the Requisitioner and the Demolition didn't do as much as I would have hoped, at least not today. Again, very small sample size, and we barely got to see any variety. In that last game, I do think we could have come out on top against Selesnya Toxic. I think that could have technically gone either way. Their Johnny just put in so much work that game. It really shows why it might be worth a 1 or 2 of on the top end of those Selesnya Toxic builds. Yeah, it just put in a ton of work. Anything else I would consider? If you're dropping that Wind-Scarred, maybe the 3rd Mirrex, but it still might hold you back, and then you're still going to see so much white mana anyways, so the Jaxis is still going to be hard. But if you go up any of the red mana, then you might get caught up in the early game not being able to play out some of your cards, or you might be forced to mulligan more than you would wish. In the Trenches doesn't need to be in here, so the double white on this might not be necessary. Like, you could go up the 4th charge of Mites easily. So if you drop the Wind-Scarred, go up a mountain, that's the 4th mountain. You drop in the Trenches, go up the other charge, the Mites, because it's really good, huh? And just like, we barely got to use it as removal because we just wanted to go wide with it instead. Wedding Announcement, Skrelv's Hive, of course, is really good. The Mite Overseer, I didn't talk about cutting this because, yeah, that would really be getting rid of the spirit of this particular deck. And I forgot to go over this earlier, I think, somehow, but like copying the Mite Overseer with the Jaxis, as long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control at +1/+0 and have first strike. So yeah, technically copying the Mite Overseer with the Jaxis would be really sweet. Somehow I forgot to go over that earlier. I don't know how. Did get to see that one game where we did the thing with the Rabble Rousing and grabbed the Mite Overseer off of it, which was just freaking awesome, dude. Rabble Rousing is pretty decent, except when the opponents have more removal than the rest of their deck. Like, 59 of their cards is spot removal, and so everything you're playing is getting removed. And then if they're not removing it, you're being forced to block because somehow even mid-range decks are just piling damage through early on in the games. And so by the time you get the Rabble Rousing onto the board, then of course you actually have to have creatures to swing in with for it to be any good. And so I wouldn't go up to 3 or 4 of these. 2 is where it's at, and if anything, I would drop 1 and maybe go up another Soul Partition, even though in the first game it did absolutely nothing. Overall, it's going to be solid removal that you really want to see. If you don't like Soul Partition, you could always think about a couple Fateful Absences as well. That's totally fine. Or just your removal of choice, which leads again into just maybe mono white is the best way to go wide, because then you can rock Lay Down Arms, and the Lay Down Arms happens to be a very powerful piece of removal, especially when you don't... I thought it was going to be right here. Especially when you don't care about the 3 life, so yeah, that's something to consider too, I suppose. You could successfully squeeze a Lay Down Arms in here, probably. We do have enough planes, but overall, especially once you ditch the Wind-Scarred, maybe you could go up that planes and then hopefully not worry too much about the double red on Jaxis. And there were actually a couple times we could just play out Jaxis as a 4-mana card too, so you don't have to worry about the double red, but gets picked up by everything. Yeah, I guess a lot to say actually, huh? But we're almost an hour into the video. Oh my goodness, guys, if you made it this far into the video, y'all are champions for real. Holy cow, what are you doing here? Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I will see you in the next video.